Salutation! Welcome to another video for the podcast Books and Hobbies. Today, I am reading a very special little fanfic I wrote that I like to call My DC Universe. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment your favorite superhero from DC. If you don't know any DC superheroes, that's okay. I'm literally looking for anything other than Marvel because at this point, I think Marvel is overhyped. So, let's get straight into it. Now, keep in mind, this is fanfic. I'm essentially making my own versions of the classic DC superheroes as I read them. As per usual, I'm using Danafil beats as in my background. Let's get into issue number 1. Batman's origin. Setting: Gotham Theater at nighttime. The Wayne family, among others, were sitting in the tan and gold leaf theater as the final credits for the last movie in the Zorro marathon unrolled. The people in it all clapped and began leaving group by group. The Wayne family being the last to leave as they approached the doors. Martha Wayne sees something on the other side of the door and stops Bruce before they leave, telling him, "Bruce, how about you go to the restroom before we go home, sweetie? We will have Alfred bring the car back to the front to meet you, okay?" Now, young Bruce is about 8 years old at this time, and he nodded, smiling at her with his somewhat short, wavy hair bouncing as he walked off to the restroom. As he left the restroom, loud gunshots were heard inside the theater from the direction of the parking lot. Bruce froze in place from the loud sound, terrified, with 1,000 thoughts running through his mind as the theater cop went to investigate the sound, poking his head outside the door before talking into his walkie-talkie to report a shooting. With 2 dead and a few others injured, Bruce was frozen in place, staring as the cops came and snapped out of his funk as Alfred gently placed a hand on Bruce's shoulder. Alfred softly whispered to the scared young Bruce, "Let's go home, young master," and held out his hand, walking Bruce to the car. As Bruce and Alfred walked out, they were stopped by the authorities. Some of the cops assuming that Alfred was trying to kidnap the young boy. As the two were having a heated discussion that Bruce wasn't paying attention to, he saw a stretcher with a colored woman's hand hanging out of the stretcher, but the stretcher itself was paused in the process of being rolled to the ambulance. The paramedic held her hand and shook her head, saying just barely loud enough for Bruce to hear, "Martha Wayne, time of death 11:30 p.m. By that point, a young Bruce Wayne teared up, shouting for his mother, running for the paramedics. Everyone but Alfred, whom the cop was distracting, tried to stop Bruce from getting to her, but he slipped just out of reach of everyone, making it with an easy arm reach of the stretcher, which by that point, Alfred had enough and did notice Bruce running. He was the only one who could stop the crying young master. Bruce, whose fear had just been realized, clung to Alfred, whimpering, "I want to go home." Alfred held the young Bruce, patting his back, nodding. "Of course, Master Bruce. Let's go home." As he began walking to where he parked the car, a woman shouted, "Hold it right there!" Alfred turned to look at who had shouted, glaring at the then commissioner with a new detective, Gordon, who was getting briefed on the side and was distracted by his boss suddenly shouting. She walked up to Alfred, insisting on a police escort until they got all the facts of what to do with Bruce. Alfred reluctantly agreed before heading back to the manor with heavy hearts. A few months later, the trial of the ones who murdered the Wayne parents, among others, finally concluded. As Bruce and Alfred were leaving, a gender-neutral individual in professional dress approached them. "Well, Bruce, it's time to go to your new home," they said to Bruce, holding out their hand. Bruce, not knowing any better, looked at Alfred, confused, squeezing his hand tight. Alfred sighed, getting onto his knees to be eye level with Bruce, who was small for his age. I'm sorry, Master Bruce. Things are complicated. Your parents were not fully prepared for something like this, so you're going to have to go for a sleepover with them for a time. Until I can get things settled. You're going to need to be brave. Think you can be brave? Nodded, understanding before slowly letting go of Alfred's hand and going with them to the foster home designated for him near Gotham, where he stayed for almost a year before Alfred finally won the rights to be Bruce's guardian until he turned 18. Now, it's a time skip to Bruce being an adult. His age by this point is going to be 22. That is where we are starting. Let's see. I'm going to add a picture right in front of me so you can see what I picture Bruce to look like. I suck at drawing. If y'all have been watching my channel for a while now, you would already know what he looks like because I put his concept art in a random short I did a few years back. But I'm still going to describe him by word for those of you who aren't actually watching the video. So, essentially, he's a mixed-raced man who's about 6'2", I believe. And the mixed race being white and African American. And he has that lovely, lovely wavy hair. It's not quite afro, but it's still not quite straight. My family likes to call them beach waves, where it's like where it's not like fully scrunchy wavy. It's just a nice big old wave. And those of you who have it will know what I'm talking about. Let's see here. I had to compare the color of his skin tone to something. It would probably be caramel hot chocolate, where it's just like brown with almost an orangish glow to it. Like a nice lightish brown. And he inherited his father's eyes, which are a cold, icy blue. And he's almost got like a perma smirk on his face whenever he's not in the suit or around the friends that know he's Batman. Like, he's got this cocky smirk on his face almost all of the time. I love him so much. Please, 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 please. If there's anybody who's an artist, I encourage somebody to actually draw this man, because the concept art I made is not the greatest. We are now at the setting of a press conference with Bruce as an adult. I also feel the need that I need to, I should probably describe Alfred, because I don't really give myself a good spot to describe him for the rest of issue number 1. So let's get on with it. So for Alfred, okay, so for Alfred, he's actually much simpler to describe in terms of design, well, with what I've got in my head, than Bruce's. Simply because the image I have had in my head for my version of Alfred for literal years is genuinely just Jackie Chan with silver hair. That's it. That's the whole thing. He's just Jackie Chan with silver hair. Just picture that for a hot minute. Whenever I say Alfred, just keep Jackie Chan with completely silver hair in your mind, okay? Now for the actual press conference. By the way, I wrote this in the context of a script, so I'm just gonna say the names of the characters that are speaking. Bruce. What I saw in that 1 year gave me a certain inspiration that allowed me to plan for years down the line until I was ready. Learning to run a business like Wayne Corporation at such a young age was not easy, but it prepared me for this exact day in which I am proud to announce Wayne Foster Care, with a team of private investigators to run extensive background checks, a whole team of teachers to help the children learn necessities of the real world such as self-defense, and a scholarship for every child who comes into and eventually leaves our care, be it adoption or aging out. I believe that this charity division of Wayne Industries will allow the greatest amount of care for the children. I will now be taking questions. Fade out the reporter's questions to therefore allow narration. While he was learning business, he received combat training from Alfred. After that press conference, he became known as the unofficial patron saint of Gotham, regularly holding charity events, not only for the staff, but for the children in the system he founded. The children are housed in the Wayne family's vacation homes, and are given a choice as to where they go if they are to leave Gotham. While several reporters tried to find fault with the tightly knit system he had been building since he was 10, and undergoing several investigations, he was able to use that as a smokescreen for his nocturnal hobby, being the Batman, to seek justice for the victims of the dark side of Gotham. The next shot we see of Bruce, he is sitting at the Bat computer, drinking coffee from a BTS mug. Alfred walks up behind Bruce and looks at his multi-screen setup. One screen had the typical crime files pulled up for a recent case. Another screen, though, had a dating site he pulled up. Are you looking for a partner in crime, sir? Bruce chokes on his coffee, blushing, and looks at Alfred before speaking. Damn, Alfred. I don't understand how you can sneak up on me in this cave. Alfred smirks. I have to keep some secrets now, don't I? Bruce rolls his eyes and goes back to what he was doing, which was trying to solve old case files from the GCPD that recently arose due to a string of thefts and murders that were extremely alike. Alfred clears his throat. Anyway, Bruce, I suggest you look at your calendar before you go any further into your favorite band's coffee mug. Bruce, what do you mean, Alfred? Oh shit! That's today? Bruce quickly got up, chugging his coffee before very gently setting it down and running to the elevator. With a close-up on the calendar, or on Bruce's computer, there was an event that stated Foster Defense Teacher Interviews. And in the next few frames, we'll see blips of Bruce getting ready as the narrator speaks. First taking off his Batman gloves, tying a tie, then lastly running out the door. The only thing on Bruce's list that even ties with being the world's greatest detective is ensuring the kids taken under his care are safe, which he has yet to find a suitable self-defense teacher for the ones outside of Gotham. This is the 5th round of first-level interviews he has held, because he is just that picky when it comes to picking employees. He enters a cozy-looking house with a giant yard. The house itself looks very much like a nice log cabin. The giant yard in question is more like a fence that encapsulates a ton of the space around the house. The fence being just simple wooden poles with metal square fencing around it to keep predators away. It's very much built like a standard homestead. There are children playing in the yards and such. When he enters the building, a few kids smile at him and giggle. One of the smaller children runs up and hugs his leg. Small child. Hi, Uncle Bruce! Bruce chuckles, patting the small child's head as the kid just hugged his leg, staring up at him. Bruce. Hi, Sally. You're up early. Sally. Play with me, Unca! Bruce. I'm sorry, Sally. Uncle Bruce has to work today to find someone to help you and the other kids learn. Sally, who is around 3 years old at this time, looks sad and disappointed, gripping onto his leg tightly. Bruce, did you have another nightmare? Sally nods, her tiny hands gripping tighter. Bruce sighed helplessly. How about you stay in the office with me while I meet people? Sally lit up, giggling. Okay. Bruce, just stay quiet, okay? He put his finger in front of his face, signaling for her to be quiet. Sally does the gesture back, understanding. Bruce walked to his office as a laughing Sally hung onto his leg, being dragged behind him. And he sat at his desk, sighing. Now, there's an interview montage for a single page if you're turning this into a comic. Actually, you should probably have been picturing this whole thing as a comic to this point. Yep. And what? For a single comic book page, there's a whole montage for different interviews. But then you see Bruce making the meme face, just staring at his computer with a concerned look, eyebrows scrunched, just open-eyed staring with his hands in front of his face. And in the next frame, we see Clark Kent, which is who you just need to picture Bruce Wayne with a bit more of a lumberjack look to his body shape. Okay, Bruce is the twink, Clark's the hunk. Nope, not the right word. Bruce is a twink, whereas Clark's a bit more of a lumberjack. Clark is just giving Bruce the biggest, goofiest smile. Bruce. Kent, my brother in media, why are you here? I know you're not here to interview for the job posting. Kent gave a nervous chuckle. Well, Bruce, my boss won't let me write another homesteading article. He's making me gather gossip about your foster care system. Again. Bruce, that's the third time this month. Exasperated sigh, reclining in his chair. Here's an idea. How about with the children's permission, you write about the playground drama happening here? You'd be surprised what these kids are capable of coming up with. Kent, scribbling his suggestion down. That is a fantastic idea. Thanks, Bruce. Anytime, Kent. Oh, and by the way, Clark freezes up as Bruce only uses his first name when he is annoyed with something. Clark, yes, Bruce? While you're in the area, please stop by my manor to pick up your dog. I have no idea how He stood up like he was gonna say something before remembering the child hiding in the room and sat back down. Precious Popper keeps breaking into my house, and he keeps getting better at it. I am at my wit's end. Kent sighed, relieved it was just that. Yeah, I'll be sure to do that, Bruce. Also, you need to get that dog trained. I'm surprised he even listens to you. Kent, you and me both. Anyway, I'll see you around, Bruce. Bruce, see ya, Kent. After Kent leaves, Bruce sighed again, staring at the ceiling for a minute as a thought bubble appears. Only one interview left today. I can do this. He looks at Sally before sitting back up and calling for the last interview of the day. Bruce, hello. Thank you for coming in to interview today. Might I have your name, ma'am? And there's a pan over to the woman being interviewed, who, let's just say, has a very distinct Middle Eastern heritage, except her skin, instead of the usual orangish glow that happens in the Middle East, her skin tone tends to have a bit more of a grayish hue to it. Interviewee, Selena Kyle. It is a pleasure to be interviewed by you today, Mr. Wayne. Bruce, the pleasure is all mine. An interview later, Bruce turns to Sally once Selena is out of the room. Bruce, what did you think of her? Sally, she seems really nice. Bruce, her resume isn't too bad either. Think she should advance to the next round? Sally with a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah! Bruce lightly chuckles. Alright, well, that's all the interview's done for today. So now I can spend time with you kids. Sally giggles and skips out the office doors. Bruce stays behind for a second, writing stuff down before getting up and following Sally out the door. Bruce played outside with the kids that were in the foster home for a solid few hours, when he pauses to catch his breath for a second. He spots a little boy sitting on the porch stairs, staring at his phone with headphones in and a notebook in one hand, writing down notes, very clearly immersed in what he was doing. He was older than some of the other kids, about 10 to be precise. Bruce checks his watch before quietly walking over to the kid and looking over his shoulder, hearing a little bit of what the kid was watching on the phone. Video. Jason Todd is one of the many murder cases whose murderer was never found. Dead at the young age of 11, he never got justice. So why couldn't they find his murderer? Bruce realizes this is the same cold case he was trying to solve. So, you like true crime too, kid? The little boy jumped, throwing his phone at Bruce out of pure reflex, scared half to death. Bruce caught the phone easily, chuckling. Bruce, sorry to scare you. I just noticed you were here instead of playing with the other kids, and thought I might see what's up. The name is Bruce. The boy is visibly distrustful of Bruce, and nods, giving him bombastic side-eye after grabbing his phone back. Boy, the name is Dick. Dick Grayson. Bruce, nice to meet you, Dick. Bruce smiles at him. Dick, sure it is. He rolls his eyes as he picks up his notebook and pencil off the ground. Bruce, isn't this case a bit dark for a kid your age, though? Dick, not really. I have had nightmares scarier than this. Bruce, well, hey, if you want, at the next sleepover that's in a couple weeks, that's at my main house, how about we compare crime notes, huh? Dick looks at him and smiles really big for a second before neutralizing his face, trying to keep up an emo bad boy routine. Sounds fun, I guess. Bruce, good. Messes up Grayson's hair. See you at the sleepover at my manor, Grayson. Grayson, see ya, Wayne. Goes, and he went back to ignoring everything. Bruce chuckles, and a thought bubbles up. Reminds me of a younger me. Bruce then walks out to the manor into his issue 1 ends. Hope you all enjoyed that. Now, I haven't really decided fully on what Grayson needs to look like, but I would like him to look different from every other depiction of Grayson ever made, which Grayson usually looks like black hair, dark eyes, typical white boy, but I want him to look wildly different from Bruce this time around. Like, I want to make it obvious he was adopted by Bruce. Because all the other versions of Grayson, it's not as obvious. Like, he looks like a carbon copy of Bruce. This is the end of issue number 1 for my DC project. A lot of things are gonna wind up being different, let me tell you that. I hope everybody likes it, and, well, this will be fun. Have a nice day. Remember to like, subscribe, comment your favorite thing. And don't forget about my book that's out if you want to read more. Though it's not about this. And bye-bye.